Hi there, I'm Kari Leland, nutritionist with Inbalance Nutrition and the Foxhall Foundation. March is National Nutrition Month, so I thought this month we would focus a little on the basics of nutrition, starting with our three major nutrients, the nutrients that provide us with energy, or calories. These nutrients are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Over the next couple of weeks, I want to take some time to focus on each one of these nutrients, the important role that they play in our body and in our health, and also what the best sources of these nutrients are in our diet. So today I wanted to start talking about carbohydrates. And carbohydrates have gotten a bit of a bad reputation over the past couple of decades with the rise of diets like the Atkins diet and the ketogenic diet. But carbohydrates have a very important function in our body. They're our body's main source of fuel or energy, and not just for physical activity, but the actual functioning of our brain and our heart muscles and our kidneys. So we need carbohydrates in order for our body to function in an optimal way. The important thing to consider when we're talking about carbohydrates is the source of the carbohydrates in our diet. Where are we getting most of the carbohydrates in our diet? There's two different types of carbohydrates: simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are things like refined sugars, which we get from sugar-sweetened beverages or candies, cookies, sweets and treats. We might also get simple carbohydrates from refined flours, like white bread, white rice, white pasta. So simple carbohydrates still provide us with energy and calories, but they don't provide much in the way of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, fiber. So we're getting calories, but not a lot of other nutrition benefits when we're eating foods that are high in refined flour or refined sugar. On the other hand, complex carbohydrates are also providing us with calories, but they're giving us a high volume of vitamins and minerals and other nutrients like fiber as well. So complex carbohydrates are things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, things like legumes or beans. And these all provide us with a significant amount of nutrients along with energy. So ideally, we want to make sure that most of the carbohydrates in our diet are coming from those complex sources. Of course, it's always okay to include refined carbohydrates, refined sugars, refined flours in small amounts in our diet. No food is off limits, but we're going to get the most nutrition benefits when we're including those complex carbohydrates in our diet as well. Another benefit when we're looking at complex carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates is the feeling of satisfaction that we experience after we eat. So our simple carbohydrates don't contain any fiber. They're digested really quickly in our stomachs, and they cause our blood sugar to shoot up and then crash down. So it can leave us feeling hungry pretty soon after we eat. It can also sort of make us feel a little tired and not give us that sustained energy. Complex carbohydrates, because they do contain fiber, they digest more slowly in our stomachs. So instead of a spike in our blood sugar, we get just sort of a nice gentle curve. That leaves us feeling more satisfied for longer and gives us a little bit more staying power with the foods that we're choosing. So when it comes to complex carbohydrates, fresh fruits, frozen fruits, fresh vegetables, also frozen vegetables, all great sources of complex carbohydrates. Also, our whole grains are a really excellent way to get complex carbohydrates into our diet. So whole grains are basically any grain that hasn't been stripped of the nutritious parts of it. So it's still intact. It still has the fiber. It still has all of the vitamins and minerals. It can be a little tricky when you're looking for whole grain products when you're grocery shopping, because a lot of foods can be labeled as containing whole grains or whole wheat, but they may also contain some refined flours as well. So if you want to maximize your complex carbohydrate intake, take a look at the nutrition labels of the food that you're eating. Look at the ingredients. If a food is going to be a whole grain or whole wheat product, we want to try to look for those that list 100% whole wheat in the ingredients list. This is going to ensure that you're getting all of those good complex carbohydrates without those refined flours added to them. Sometimes foods can be listed as whole grain or whole wheat, and it can be a mixture of refined flour and whole grain. Also, there's a lot of great grains out there that you can get creative with when you're talking about cooking meals or preparing lunches. There's a lot of really delicious ancient grains, things like farro, things like bulgur wheat, things like millet, that have really great texture and flavor. They can make your meals a little bit more interesting, and also provide you with that extra fiber and a lot of those extra nutrients. Our whole grains are really excellent sources of B vitamins, of iron, and again, also of fiber. So I have a couple of examples of some grains. So this is a grain that I love to use called farro. It's got a nice nutty flavor, and it's got a nice sort of chewy. And then this is bulgur wheat. And these are great options alongside a protein and a vegetable at dinner. Or also, I love to make salads with them. So add a lot of vegetables to them, roasted vegetables. You can eat them warm, you can eat them cold, and you're getting a great serving of some good complex carbohydrates. If you are interested in trying some of these whole grains, I am going to include a recipe on the Foxhall Foundation's Facebook page. So I encourage you to try it and just make an effort to include some of those complex carbohydrates in your diet, especially this month in honor of National Nutrition Month. All right, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you soon.